Welcome back to the Nerd Lair. I got another Marvel movie review here for you. My wife and I just got done watching Iron Man 3 last night. And so, pretty fresh off those thoughts for this movie. I, again, pleasantly surprised because I went into this going, oh, I should have known after I enjoyed Iron Man 2 that I'd probably like this more than I thought. And it was the exact same experience. I was like, I guess we can watch it. And then I loved it again. So let's hop into it. We'll go down the criteria and we'll see what score we end up with. Number one, story. I give this story a 9. I knew the twist, obviously, this time around. And even knowing it, you're like, it's still a fun story. It's still enjoyable, the Killian thing. And the reason why I like this story is it really shows how Tony has now changed. And I think that's a big one. Because I think Tony in Iron Man 1 is a totally different guy than Tony in Iron Man 3, and that's fun for me to see. That's a fun transition to see your beloved character who, in the first movie, truthfully is Iron Man. He is kind of untouchable. And then in Iron Man 2, you start to see him struggle. In Iron Man 3, he's a mess. He's a full-blown mess. And I enjoy watching that redemption arc of, okay, how can I clean up the way I talk to people, the way that I am towards others? How can I clean up the fact that I am not untouchable in all things? So really enjoyed that part of the movie. And I touched on this in Iron Man 2, but him dealing with anxiety in this movie is a very close to home thing for me. So I really enjoyed watching that as well. Fantastic. Characters, I can't give it a 10, but I will give it a 9. Again, Pepper, Happy, Tony. I even like Killian. I liked the manner. I liked the characters. They were fun. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Visuals, I'm going to go 7. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that you're just like, that is just totally CGI. And it suspends the disbelief. And so that's kind of tough for me. Because this movie is always focused on him calling the suit. You know, he's putting his hand up, calling the suit, and they're attaching to his arms, and it just looks very computer-y, and that took me out of it a little bit. Direction, I'll go 7.5. There was just some things that maybe I was like, this kind of took a little longer, or I was kind of waiting for it to cook longer. I wasn't like a super fan of the way that they showed off the powers of like the infected people, so I would say direction, it was still good. I don't want to rag on it too much. A lot of good moments and things, which leads me into dialogue humor. I give it an 8. It's not as high as Iron Man 2 or even close to the Avengers, but it is still, you got Tony, anytime Tony Stark's on the screen, anytime you get Robert Downey Jr., it's going to go bing, bing, bing. There's going to be little quotes. This happens to everybody, you know, dads, I don't want to use the exact quote he does, but, you know, dads leave, don't be up about it. And it's just hilarious. Like, that is just a hilarious line. Them arguing over a gigantic bunny that he gave to her on Christmas is hilarious. That's funny. Like, right in the face of danger, they're still arguing about the stupid bunny. I love that kind of stuff. That is what gives me a higher score on the dialogue. Emotional impact, I'm going to go 9. Again, personal, I talked about this if you saw my Iron Man 2 review, but personally watching him deal with, you know, heart issue and anxiety, that hits home for me. Personally, that's what's going on in my life. Those things are hard, and I was emotional to watch those things. I'm not a, you know, crier at movies, but it definitely sits with me. It has me think about it. You know, if superhero Tony Stark deals with it, then, you know, I'm not alone. Obviously he's fake, but that just goes through your head. Soundtrack and score, can't tell you a single thing about the music, which should tell you it's fine. It probably worked for the movie, but it doesn't sit with me. So it's a very low score. I give it a 6. Legacy, 7.5. The 7 and the 7.5 here are for how Tony deals with things. And then we see that, me knowing, having seen all the Marvel movies, we see that here coming up in the future. But as far as the rest of this movie, you know, none of the people that were in it extra come back in a big swing later on. Tony's suit, even that he uses, doesn't really like show up anymore. All the suits get blown up. It's kind of a restart movie, so we don't see a lot of this paying off down the line. So 7.5 for me on that one. Villain, good, not great. 7.5, I would say. And this is total transparency. As I was sitting down to write the review, I was like, what's his name? And I saw it last night. Killian is his name. And then the Mandarin, who is obviously not the villain. And I remember this being a real point of contention when this came out. This is when I started digging into Marvel movies and really getting into Marvel. And everyone's like, the Mandarin, he's going to be in it. And then the Mandarin ended up being a fake and was Killian the whole time. And I'm not a big Mandarin. I don't even really know the Mandarin that much, even as much that I dig into Marvel movies. But so that doesn't bother me. But if you're somebody that loves comic books, that might bother you. And that kind of stunk a little bit for those that were into that. Not so much me. 7.5 on that. Overall enjoyment, I give it a 9 out of 10. And I know I've been kind of harping on things, but I dragged my feet going into this movie, and then I loved it. I was absolutely enamored with the film again. And I looked at Lauren, I'm like, Iron Man movies are so much better than I give them credit for. And I think it's Robert Downey Jr. And I was watching last night going, how is he going to be Doctor Doom? Because he's just such a beloved character at this point. I put him high in my Marvel character ranking because he is that good. In MCU, he is that good. So I appreciate you watching. The aggregate score here is a 7.9 out of 10. Pretty high up there. I think it's my third highest movie so far, which is kind of blowing me away. It's higher than Iron Man 1, I guess, because I do all these on their own. I don't look at the other scores, and then after I took a peek, I will throw up the scores here at the end of this video. I appreciate you watching this review. Let me know what you think about Iron Man 3. Do you even remember the movie? Toss it down there. As always, God bless you. Have a good one.